So, you're not 20 anymore. You've bled a little, lost some people, watched dreams rise and some collapse. Maybe you've built something. Maybe you've buried a few things too. You've walked through fire, career setbacks, betrayals, heartbreaks, and came out harder, quieter, sharper. Then she walks in. Young, magnetic, untouched by time. Her smile stretches across the room like a beam of chaos and curiosity. Her laugh is light, free, so different from the world you've known. And then she looks at you, not past you, not through you, at you. And in that moment, something moves inside you, something you thought had been buried under responsibilities, routines, and silent compromises. She listens when you speak, asks you questions. You feel 10 years younger, you feel seen. That's the moment most men fall. Not because she's dangerous, but because they forget who they are. They forget what they've already earned. Instead of standing tall in experience, they lean forward for approval. Instead of being the mountain, they become the breeze, changing direction to fit her world. And just like that, the edge is gone. This video isn't about judging you for wanting to feel alive. It's not about pretending you're unaffected. It's about remembering who you are and who you're not. You're not here to perform. You're not here to impress. You've already paid the price to sit at the table. Now you lead. So, before you speak to that younger woman again, pause, check your posture, check your motives, check your frame, because how you show up in that first moment decides everything that follows. Stay with me. This is the wake-up call no one gave you, but the one every man over 30 needs to hear. Number 1, don't try to be her equal. That's the first way men kill their edge. This is where most older men throw away their power, trying to relate, trying to shrink themselves down to her world, trying to match her slang, her tempo, her culture, and in doing so, they kill the very thing that made them magnetic in the first place. You meet a younger woman, and somewhere between her Spotify playlists and TikTok slang, you feel out of place. So you start adjusting, you change your tone, you laugh at jokes you don't find funny, you drop a reference to some influencer you don't actually follow, you try to match her energy, talk faster, dress trendier, and slowly, you disappear. Not physically, but energetically. She doesn't see a grounded man anymore. She sees a man trying to keep up, and whether she's 22 or 29, women have a radar for inauthenticity. They can feel when you're reaching. Here's the truth. You weren't supposed to keep up. You were supposed to slow it all down. Polarity is the pull. Opposites create tension, mystery, desire. She doesn't want another mirror of her chaotic, fast-moving world. She wants contrast, stability. She wants to feel your difference, not your similarity. You're not her peer, you're her gravity. Let me give you a real example. There was a man, let's call him Chris, late 40s, divorced, fit, successful. He started dating a 26-year-old, bright, playful, social media queen. At first she was drawn in by his presence, his calm, but Chris started cracking. He began using her slang, sent emojis he never used before, switched his wardrobe, even downloaded the apps she liked just to be in her world. And within weeks, the attraction faded. She didn't ghost him, she didn't fight, she just cooled. Why? Because the man she was drawn to, the one who didn't bend, was gone. Chris became a reflection, not a rock, and reflections don't hold weight. So what's the fix? Speak slower. Let her race around you. You don't chase her words, you anchor them. Dress like yourself, not like the guy she dated last year. Like a man who knows exactly who he is. Stop apologizing for your age. It's not your burden, it's your edge. You've seen more, felt more, built more. Carry that. Let her feel it. In a world where everyone's trying to relate, the most attractive thing you can do is stand still. Number 2, don't absorb her chaos. You're not her therapist. You're not her midnight rescue team. You're her test, and you keep failing it. You think listening is enough. You think that if you absorb her pain, hold her tears, nod through the chaos, she'll see you as the man she can finally trust. But there's a fine line between being emotionally present and being used. Younger women are navigating a world of uncertainty, identity, self-worth, past wounds, broken relationships, and if you offer them your ear, they'll take it. Your shoulder, they'll lean on it. Your peace, they'll pour chaos into it, not out of malice, but out of habit. And here's where most older men fall. They confuse emotional dumping with emotional intimacy. She tells you about the ex who ghosted her, about her father who wasn't there, about her panic attacks, her spirals, her healing, and you sit there thinking, this means she trusts me, this means we're close. No, what it means is that she's offloading. You've become her diary, not her desire. The more you absorb, the more she leans. The more she leans, the more she sees you not as a man, but as a container. And eventually you'll realize something brutal. She talks to you about the men she wants, but she doesn't want you. So what does a Stoic man do? He listens, but doesn't get pulled in. She calls you crying. Instead of diving into rescue mode, you say, that sounds like a lot. I hope you give yourself space to figure it out. No solutions, no scrambling, just calm. Because presence doesn't mean panic. Presence means stillness. Your value isn't in how much emotional weight you carry. It's in how little you let disturb your center. Real masculinity is not emotional labor. It's emotional leadership. She gets chaotic. You stay calm. She overshares. You stay grounded. She spirals. You stay silent. You're not her therapist. You're not her fixer. You're a mountain. And if she's not ready to rise, don't climb down to meet her. Number 3, stop chasing her validation. Chasing her validation. The moment she feels you need her approval, you've already lost her respect. This is the quiet killer of masculine energy, validation seeking. It doesn't always look desperate. In fact, it often starts subtle. You drop a compliment just to keep the momentum going. You laugh a little too hard at her joke. You wait by your phone a few extra minutes, hoping she replies. Then you double text. Then you soften your truth, just to stay in her good graces. Then one day, she pulls back. Her tone changes. The text's slow, the energy dies, and you're left wondering what happened. Here's what happened. The second she felt you needed her approval, the respect vanished. You went from man to performer, from grounded to orbiting. And women, especially younger ones, can feel this shift without a word being spoken. They sense when your world starts revolving around them, and instinctively, they pull away, not because they're cruel, but because they've lost tension. The paradox: the less you chase, the more she follows. When you don't rush to reply, when you don't overpraise, when you don't react emotionally to her mood swings, she notices, she leans in. Because you didn't. This isn't about playing games, it's about self-respect. Marcus Aurelius said, "We love ourselves more than other people, yet we care more about their opinion than our own." Flip that. Start caring about your own standard. Stop performing for likes and laughs. Stop softening your edges just to fit her emotional climate. Here's your real tactic. Delay your response, not to punish, but to stay rooted in your priorities. Respond after you train, after you finish your work, after you've moved with intention. Let her match your energy, not the other way around. If she ghosts, you don't chase. If she tests, you don't flinch. If she withholds, you stay full, because the man who seeks validation will always be ruled by the one who withholds it. Don't be that man. Be the one who doesn't need her approval, because he already has his own. Number 4, don't try to impress. Lead. Quit trying to impress her. Leadership is what she craves, not performance, not flash, just presence. You're not here to impress her. Let that sink in, because everything in modern dating culture tells you the opposite. Flashy restaurants, carefully crafted texts, that new shirt you bought just in case she compliments it. All of it is designed to impress. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you try to impress, you hand her the frame. You stop leading, and you start performing. You go from commander to contestant. And once she feels that shift, the energy dies. She no longer feels held. She feels watched. Here's the thing most men never learn. Women don't want a man who performs. They want a man who moves. Moves with clarity, with calm, with purpose. Leadership doesn't mean dominating. It doesn't mean barking orders. It means knowing where you're going and inviting her into that direction. It's the difference between "let's meet at this cafe at 6" and "what do you want to do?" One makes her relax into your decision. The other puts pressure on her to take the lead. She's not drawn to the man who offers options. She's drawn to the man who sets the tone, and she doesn't want to feel your eagerness. She wants to feel your certainty. So stop with the gimmicks. Don't flash, don't flex, don't overthink the text. Your presence is enough. If it's rooted in something deeper, a man who's truly grounded doesn't try to win her attention. He gives her something to admire, his direction. So before you plan the next date, pause. Are you doing it to impress? Or are you doing it because it aligns with who you are? The man who leads doesn't need to explain. He just moves. And if she's the right one, she'll follow. If not, he keeps moving. Number 5, don't project a fantasy too soon. Stop building futures with women who haven't earned your present. What you're calling chemistries is often just projection. You just met her. She's beautiful. She's playful. She laughs at your jokes. And within days, your mind is already racing into the future. You picture the two of you on vacation. You imagine introducing her to your friends. You see her sitting beside you at dinner parties, maybe even at your wedding, and you haven't even seen how she handles a bad day yet. That's the danger. You stopped observing and started imagining, and that imagination will betray you faster than she ever could. Because when you're caught in fantasy, you don't see her. You see who you hope she is. You respond to potential, not patterns. You ignore the red flags. You justify inconsistencies. You explain away the disrespect. You start managing her chaos, instead of recognizing it for what it is. You're not dating a woman. You're dating a projection, and that projection will always let you down. She hasn't earned your loyalty. She hasn't proved consistency. She hasn't shown emotional maturity. But in your mind, she's already the one. That's not love. That's emotional gambling. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." Truth is found in observation, not imagination. Slow the emotional pace. Stay grounded. Let time reveal her character. Watch how she handles boredom, discomfort, disagreement. See how she treats waiters, how she reacts when she doesn't get her way. Listen to how often her words match her actions, because those are the patterns that matter. Hope is not a strategy, and emotional projection is not attraction. It's self-delusion wrapped in a daydream. Don't grieve the fantasy later. Stay awake to reality now. A Stoic man collects data. He doesn't build castles on sand. So stop asking, "What if this could be something?" and start asking, "What is she showing me right now?" Number 6, don't be her backup plan. You're not her first choice, and deep down you know it. So why are you still showing up like you are? You feel it, but you don't say it. She texts you when she's lonely. She calls you when she's crying. She flirts just enough to keep you on the hook. But deep down you know, you're not her man. You're her emotional safety net. She disappears for days, then pops back up like nothing happened. You make time for her. She doesn't do the same. She tells you she's figuring things out, but somehow you're the one always waiting. And here's what most men refuse to admit. She doesn't respect the man who's always there. She respects the man who can walk away. The one who says, "My energy isn't free." Because when a woman senses she has unlimited access to your time, attention, and emotional labor without earning it, she devalues it. Not consciously, but instinctively. Humans don't cherish what they don't have to fight for, and women don't fall for men who are easy to lean on, but hard to look up to. Let me be clear. Support is not attraction. Being her emotional pillow will never make you her man. You're not her therapist. You're not her diary. You're not her standby while she chases someone else. And if you stay in that role long enough, you'll become invisible. So what's the Stoic move? Withdraw. Not out of spite, not out of drama, but out of principle. You don't need to block her. You don't need a speech. You just need to pull back the privilege of your presence. Let silence speak. Let absence clarify. Because women don't regret losing the man who texted good morning every day. They regret losing the man who walked away when the energy wasn't returned. The man who didn't argue, didn't beg, didn't explain. He just disappeared and let the silence echo louder than any conversation ever could. That's power. That's what gets remembered. Number 7, don't trade your mission for her mood. You start trading your purpose for her attention. That's when the attraction dies, not because of what you do, but because of why you're doing it. At first it feels harmless. You skip a gym session to see her. You postpone a meeting to make time. You shift your routine, rearrange your mornings, soften your focus just a little. You tell yourself it's worth it. She's special, but something dangerous is happening beneath the surface. You're not just adjusting, you're bending. You're rearranging your mission to orbit hers. And when that happens, the very energy that drew her to you begins to disappear. She doesn't fall for you because you're convenient. She falls for you because you're committed to something bigger than her. But when you make her your purpose, the polarity dies. She stops feeling your edge. She stops feeling led. And eventually, she stops feeling anything at all. Because deep down, women don't want to be your mission. They want to join it. They want to feel safe inside a man who's already going somewhere, who's already building, moving, becoming. Masculinity is movement. Masculinity is direction. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." So what happens when you trade your ambition for comfort? You become forgettable. Not because you're boring, but because you stopped being you. The workouts, the business, the vision, that was your gravity. She felt your fire. Now you're blowing on ash. So what's the move? Stay consistent. Hit the gym, even if she's in town. Wake up early, even if she stayed the night. Keep your promises to yourself, even if she pouts. Because every time you betray your code for a moment of connection, you lose a piece of your power. Your mission is not optional, it's oxygen. If she's meant for you, she'll find a way to move with you, not pull you off path. And if she walks away because you wouldn't dim your flame, good. Because a man who burns for his vision never runs out of options, but a man who sacrifices it for attention, he runs out of himself. Number 8, don't wobble when she tests you. She says you're too serious, too still, too hard to read. That's not criticism, that's a test. And when you shift to please, you fail it. You're too serious. You should dress younger. Why don't you talk more? Lighten up. These aren't just comments, they're tests, not to hurt you, but to reveal you. She wants to know what you're made of, not in theory, but in practice. Will you wobble when she pushes? Will you adjust just to please? Because the moment you do, she loses trust. Not always consciously, but deeply instinctively. You stop being the rock, you become the clay. You think being agreeable builds connection, but what she actually wants is weight, structure, resistance, a man who won't move just because she asks. And here's the Stoic response: smile, hold your ground. She says, you'd be hotter if you dressed younger. You say, that's funny. I like the way I move, calm, clean, unbothered. You're not here to match her mood swings. You're here to be felt, because here's the paradox. She doesn't want to move you. She wants to feel that she can't. She wants to feel the edges of your self-respect and bounce off them, not to control you, but to trust you. You're not her puppet, you're her polarity. So the next time she pushes, don't react, don't justify, don't adapt. Stand still, because real masculinity doesn't explain itself. It just is. Number 9, stop trying to buy her time. You're offering gifts, validation, and attention she didn't earn. You're not commanding her interest, you're purchasing it, and she can feel it. You buy dinner, you compliment her, you give time, attention, and emotional space, hoping she'll reciprocate. You think you're being generous, but all she hears is one thing: my value depends on what I give you, and that screams insecurity. You can't purchase respect, you can't buy admiration, and you definitely can't win her heart with things she didn't earn. When you give too much too soon, she doesn't see abundance. She sees a man trying to compensate. A man hoping his generosity will cover his lack of presence. But the truth is, you don't attract her by giving. You attract her by being still, by being rare, by being centered in a life that doesn't revolve around her. That's how you command attention, not with flashy moves, but with quiet gravity. Look at Dan, 50, successful, calm. He meets a 27-year-old at an event. She's charming, vibrant, and used to men tripping over themselves. But Dan doesn't chase. He doesn't offer the world. He invites her into his world on his time, on his terms, and because he didn't beg for her attention, she leaned in to earn his. Don't live to impress. Live in such a way that your time is a reward. Let her reach for it, not because you withheld, but because you never needed to give it away in the first place. Number 10. Don't give her depth she hasn't earned. Don't hand your soul to someone who hasn't even shown up on time. Your scars are sacred. Let her earn the vault. You've lived, you've failed, you've rebuilt yourself. More than once, you carry scars that cost you years, lessons that came through pain, stories that took decades to shape. That's your depth. Don't pour it into a stranger who smiles at you for 2 dates. When you reveal your inner world too early, your fears, your regrets, your childhood traumas, you're not building connection, you're killing mystery. You're giving sacred ground to someone who hasn't shown they can hold it. She hasn't earned access to your silence yet, let alone your story. True Stoic strength is restraint, holding back not because you're afraid, but because you value what's within. Before you open the vault, ask yourself, has she shown emotional maturity? Has she earned consistency? How does she handle disappointment? If she runs when you say no, pulls away when you're unavailable, or tests your boundaries with silence, why would you give her access to your soul? That's not connection. That's emotional oversharing disguised as vulnerability. Let your depth be rare. Let it be earned. Not everyone should get to hear your story, because when you give everything too soon, she doesn't feel honored. She feels overwhelmed. So hold the line, speak less, watch more, and wait for the woman who proves she can stand still in your silence before you ever speak from your shadow. Stop performing, stop chasing, stop projecting a future onto women who haven't earned your present. You are not too old. You are too valuable to be wasted on shallow dynamics and fleeting validation. You've lived, you've built, you've bled, you've rallied, you carry weight, but only if you stop giving it away. Every mistake we've walked through today, it all boils down to one thing. You forgot who you are. You're not here to impress. You're here to embody, to move with clarity, to lead with stillness, to let her feel the contrast between her chaos and your center. So if you're ready to stop shrinking, stop explaining, and start leading, drop "I lead from center" in the comments. Subscribe now if you're done chasing approval and ready to reclaim your edge. And share this with one man who's losing himself trying to feel young again. Because real masculinity isn't loud, it doesn't beg, it simply stays anchored, calm, undeniable. And in a world full of noise, that kind of man is unforgettable.